What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and final game at Bobby Dodd against Orlando City. Kind of an emotional journey, just thinking about this is the stadium that we've had for quite a while. It's obviously we haven't played a whole lot of games at home because we've had several away. So most of our season has been away. So it's not like this is a huge change going to be happening, but it is kind of sad to think about, because Bobby Dodd is just it's such a close stadium. You feel like you're right on top of the action most of the time. Going to Mercedes-Benz, which will be incredible to be at, I'm sure, but at the same time, just looking at kind of some of the pictures I'm seeing, it's looking like even though we're sitting fairly close, we're still farther away from the goal than we are at Bobby Dodd, where we're pretty much right on top of it. So I'll be a little sad to move farther back away from the goal and not be able to heckle the other team's goalkeeper as much. But as it stands, this was our last game tonight. Wanted to go out on kind of just this impressive note, like this is our place. We staked our claim here. This is our stadium. But unfortunately, we kind of went out on not that great of a note. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't a very poor performance, but we really showed that we struggle to finish without Martinez. And I think we've known that for a while. I think even though we went without him for such a long time and we managed to find a way to win a few games, it was never pretty. We'd have to struggle to get a goal, or they have to make a mistake that led to a goal. But it was hardly ever we worked it and then we worked a great goal out of it. It always has to come from just this moment out of nothing. And tonight, just so many moments where we really should have put the game away. We really should have had several goals in the first half. They probably should have had a couple more than they had. Obviously their goal was an amazing shot. But they created so few chances. We created so many, but we really couldn't finish tonight. We had a few that went off the post, had some that were just terrible shots, had several crosses that just led to nothing. So we really need to work on that side of our game, just the finishing aspect. Because honestly, defensively, we've gotten a lot better. We used to leak goals. It felt like every single game we'd be giving up at least one, maybe two or three, depending on the team, depending on whether or not we were at home. But it felt like we were going to score. It was just, could we score more than the other team was going to? But then we started to finally get organized. Jeff Laurentowicz stepped up big time defensively for us. Parkhurst and Perez have sort of figured each other out. Now with Guzan stepping in, it's even better. We've got a keeper, even though Can was doing pretty well, Guzan's an experienced, plays for the national team keeper. He's going to make some of the saves that Can wasn't able to make. And so now we're very solid defensively. However, now we're struggling to score goals. Now we can't seem to do it up top. And there are a few different reasons, and I'll go through it a bit whenever I get to the individual performances, because that's where a lot of it came from tonight. But as far as, let's talk about the goals first. As far as the goals are concerned, the first one, very disappointing to give it up right after we had such a great chance. Ball through to Villalba, he cuts it back, not a great touch, but it puts him in a position to where he lays it back to Almiron, hits it first time, bending away from the keeper, bounces off the inside of the post, across, back to Villalba, who then puts it into the side netting. After all of that, they're still showing... I watched it on the highlights on Facebook because it was on the other side of the field from us, so we didn't really get to see it that well. So I watched it on the highlights on Fox. It was so soon after that Fox was still showing the highlights of that play as the ball is in the net. But yeah, just simple ball down the field. Jeff puts pressure on, I think it was Laren, and keeping him from really doing much of anything. He lays it off to Kaká, and Carlos is just not near him. He's not really stepping back to him to mark him. Leandro is kind of in between stepping out or dropping off. He's not really sure what to do. Kaká sees the opportunity, hits it outside of his right foot, bends it sort of around Perez, away from Guzan, right into the upper corner. Last week, Villalba buried one upper corner late in the game to win it for us. Today, Kaká buried one upper corner earlier in the game to put them in the lead. It happens. It wasn't really a huge defensive mistake. Yes, Carlos could have done a bit more, to help out defensively. He could have gotten back a bit quicker so Kaka doesn't have that time to see that he has a first-time shot. So you would like to see him do a little bit better, but I'm not going to blame him for the fact that Kaka had a great shot. Guzan, I can't really blame him for that either. I mean, it was that good. Watching it again on highlights, it was just really well hit. A lot of power. Guzan, even if he had time to react, he still would have been difficult to get a touch on it. And even if it did, it probably was so much power. Best you could do is maybe tip it onto the post, but I still feel like it would have gone in. So it was just one of those freak occurrences where it happens out of nothing, but it happens from time to time. And then Villalba's goal late on. Nice work from Miguel and Yamil to set it up, and then Yamil slips him in behind, one-on-one with the keeper, perfectly timed his run, and slots it past the keeper. And I really do think that he deserved it because, honestly, he needed it. He really did need it tonight because nothing was working for him. First 20, 15 minutes, he was working really hard, but after that, it looked like he was just so out of sync with everybody else on the field. It looked like he just couldn't do anything. He was trying different things that weren't coming off. And so it looked like he was having a frustrating night. It looked like he wasn't going to be able to get anything done. And so the fact that he manages to get the equalizing goal that saves us a point late on, I do think he needed it, because if not, it would have been a really bad game for him overall. So that's it for the goals. Let's talk about individual performances. Guzan had a few saves to make. Nothing like crucial, no like huge, not like the save he made last week against Orlando when the header came in off the free kick and he got down quickly to make that save. Nothing like that, but there were some times where he had to be quick off his line, come out quickly, beat the forward and the defender to it as well. And it's something that you hardly ever saw Can do. He was a good keeper, but he just was not confident to come off his line and intercept the ball. Guzan is just he's just ready. He's ready to read that. He's ready to come out quickly, intercept it, win it, make sure the forward can't get to it first. So it's just nice to have a keeper who's very confident to come out and beat the forward to the ball. Anton on the right side again. He's really starting to claim that position as his own. He's really starting to, I guess, work his way to the point where we need somebody out there who can defend well, and he's doing a good job of it. Still want to see him better up top. Crosses still aren't good. He did make somebody tonight. He had a couple good dribbling runs, but nothing productive. It's one thing to go on a dribbling run, beat somebody. If you make them, that's great, but then do something with it. I hate it whenever players just make, and then they get all excited, like, oh, I make somebody. But all it was just a make as another defender comes up from behind and just clears it out. So basically you just passed it through their legs to another defender who got rid of it, So I prefer to see a dribble or a passing move lead to something, and it doesn't feel like enough of Anton's lead to something. It's either a bad cross or he dribbles into pressure, or it's a bad pass, a bad layoff to somebody, and the defender intercepts. So just, if he's going to be a fullback, I want to see more from him up top, because they're supposed to get up and help in the attack just as much as they do defense. So his defense is fine, attacking needs more work. Michael and Leandro in the middle again, both solid tonight, I thought. Leandro has been a question mark recently. It's just one of those things where you wonder, is he too naive to be, I guess, one of those two center backs, one of the ones that's supposed to hold down the back line. He goes into some silly challenges. Even tonight, he did play well, but he still went into a few challenges where it's very obvious that pretty much most of the front line of Orlando is just looking to go down easy. And the ref was calling every single time they did. So at some point, you have to be smart and say, okay, I can't just go straight into them. I can't just put my body on them, because if I do, they're going to fall down. Ref's going to give them the call. So while the refs should do better and not calling all the dives, Leandro's got to do better at making sure he's not giving them a chance to dive. He's not giving them a reason to dive. But Michael, another very solid game from him. He's doing such a good job of just reading the game and putting himself in the right place at the right time to intercept it, get rid of it quickly. He does a very good job back there, just really reading it, and setting the play in motion as well. He doesn't just intercept and kick it out of bounds, for a throw in. He actually intercepts and looks to play. He gets it, either tries to find somebody down the line or finds his fullback, maybe even back to the keeper if he has a chance. So, yeah, I really like watching him play, but not as much as I like watching Jeff play. And I realize it's kind of unconventional for me to go from right back to center mid, but I want to leave talking about our left side for just a second, just because I think these two center mids, they really did kind of hold it down for us for the most part. I mean, in a game where really our attacking front didn't really provide much, our defensive front had to be very strong because, let's face it, they've got Kyle Larin, who's been really doing well this season. They've got Dom Dwyer, who's been tearing it up this season, even won a call-up for the U.S. in the Gold Cup. They've got Kaka in the attacking mid, who's just really fast and can still play even at an older age. They've got a lot of pace and attacking just ability up top. And despite that, we were able to hold it down, and a lot of that is down to Carlos and Jeff in the midfield. And while Carlos, I still think, has a few issues in his game, where I just still want to see him not dive in as much. I want to see him not... I don't know what it's called, but there's just this style about him whenever he's going into a challenge. It's almost a little bit reckless at times. It feels like he's not really in control of himself. A couple of times he makes some really great challenges, some really great sliding tackles that wins the ball back, gets us back in possession. Sometimes it looks amazing. But then there are other times where his slide just, it looks bad because he slides and misses, and either he catches the guy or the guy just flicks it past him, and now he's on the ground and he's beat. That side of his game needs to improve a little bit more. He needs to decide when he needs to slide and when he needs to stay on his feet and stand him up a little bit more. Because I think that's one of the things that Jeff does so well, is he reads when to stay on his feet, when to go into a challenge, when to put pressure on him, force him wide. I swear there's so many times where it just felt like, crap, they're on the break. Here comes Jeff, just out of nowhere, taking off, running somebody down. He is our most underrated player, in my opinion, because nobody talks about him. Nobody's like, oh yeah, Jeff's the Learn-to-Wits. He's one of our best players. But he is. He is silently being one of our best players in the back, because not only does he have to drop in as almost a third defender, but he's also the one that looks like whenever somebody is in space, he's always the one that's the first one to it. Sometimes Michael will step in because, captain-wise, you want your captain to be the one to go track somebody down who's in a ton of space. But if it's ever he stepped up to win the ball and that's left somebody else open because Anton is still down the field, Jeff's always the one making the run. He's always the one getting across. He's always the one putting pressure on them, either forcing them wide or just slowing it down to give everybody else a chance to get back. To have a player like that on the field is just priceless. I cannot put a worth on a player like that. It's just so helpful defensively, especially because we've had a lot of defensive woes recently. I mean, not recently, but games before now. Like I said, we were leaking goals. Jeff's really stepped up in the middle. Carlos has stepped up a little bit too, and I think because of that, because of them working harder in the midfield, it's given our defense more reason to work hard. They see that and they get inspired by it to work harder and get even more defensive challenges put in. So yeah, I want to give a lot of credit to the midfield tonight because yes, we did give up a goal, but there were quite a few chances that Orlando could have had if not for some of the challenges that Jeff and Carlos put in. So finish off the defense though, going back to them, got Garza on the left. He didn't really have his best game tonight again. He's been on a little bit of a run of just average to poor showings. Haven't really seen a great showing from Greg in a while. I don't know what it is. I don't know if there's something going on with him, if injuries hurting him or what I don't know what it is, but it just seems like when we first started, back at the beginning, it felt like he was going to be one of our most influential players. He was getting MLS Team of the week after week. He's assisting. He popped up with a goal. It felt like he was just one of our most influential players on the field coming out of the defense. And, even talk that he might make the Gold Cup squad. But now it's like he's just sort of dropped off. He's become ineffective on the left side. Defensively, it feels like he's getting caught out too much. It feels like, obviously he's never really had a whole lot of speed, but even then, it feels like defensively, when he's one-on-one, he's losing out challenges more often than he was a little, few games ago, several games ago. So I don't know what's going on with him, but he really has dropped off from what I remember at the beginning of the season. So I hope he can get that back. I hope he can find that form again because we need him to. We don't really have. I guess Ambrose came in when he got injured tonight and looked average. But aside from Bloom and Ambrose, which are kind of they're doing okay. They're not really showing that they're true star quality in the MLS. We don't really have an option at left back aside from him. So I hate to say it because I do want him to be one of our most influential players. I mean, he made the MLS All-Star team based on those early season performances. So hopefully he can get back to that and show what he's capable of. Up into the attacking side of it, and this is where things get a little bit more dicey based on who the player is. But you've got Yamil Assad on the left again. Has been in a bit of a rut lately, as far as his assists, his goals have kind of run dry a little bit. And on top of that, it feels like what he's trying most of the time doesn't come off. His passes, his crosses, most of the time they're not coming off. They're not working out. They're right at a defender or, it's just a little bit too far for Tito or Miguel to get to. So, I don't know. He's been in a little bit of a rut lately with that part of his game. However, the one thing he always brings to every single game, his work effort to get the ball back. I think that really goes unnoticed by a lot of people. He's one of the few attacking players that I see as soon as he misses a pass, as soon as he gives it away, as soon as they lose the ball, he's one of the few that doesn't put his head down. You see so many players nowadays, whenever they try a pass or whenever they give the ball away, they get frustrated and they're, heads down. He doesn't do that. Most of the time I see he gives the ball away, he's instantly on whoever he just gave it to, trying to win it back. And he creates so many dangerous situations from trying to win the ball back because now they're either under pressure and they have to pass to another defender putting them under pressure, or he wins it back and now it's like 2v1 with Yamil and Tito running at one defender. Unfortunately, we didn't convert a lot of those chances that he created tonight, and like I said, a lot of that had to do with the fact that his passing just hasn't been coming off recently. But I will give him his assist was a nice through ball, perfectly timed, perfectly weighted. It's one of the few great passes that he's played in the past few games, so glad it led to an assist. I think he needed that to get a little bit of confidence back. Miguel in the middle, a player who desperately wants to try to affect the game, desperately try to get something going, create something out of nothing. But unfortunately, if your other teammates just aren't on the same page as you, if they're not playing at the same level as you, it just kind of looks like you're just running around with the ball looking for something to happen. You're almost looking a bit lost. So I don't really blame tonight's kind of average performance from him on him. I think part of it is he does need to release it probably a little bit earlier, try to force his players to get involved or his teammates to get involved instead of just, waiting for them to try to get involved. I think if he were to just give them the ball and say, hey, let's go, and try to force them to work instead of waiting for them to work, because most of them aren't, I think that would help him a bit more. But as it stands, he looks lost sometimes because he's in the middle. He's trying to create something, but there's no movement. He's just trying to create something out of absolutely nothing. And unfortunately, he and Yamil and Tito and Julian were all just completely not on the same page tonight. And you could see, it was so obvious. And that's why, even though they did create a few chances, those few chances they created, great chances off the post, but then after that, you didn't really see much from them for a little while, because now they're trying to create something again. It's just not coming off for them. So it was a very average performance from him tonight, but like I said, I think that's more, he's trying to do something on his own instead of, his teammates trying to help him out. So Then Julie on the right, once again, just not impressed with him. He's still. It feels like every game, I'm hoping maybe this will be the game where he finally realizes this is what I need to do. This is why I'm out here. But I never see it. For every step forward he takes, it's like 2 steps back. Oh, what a great run! Oh, but then you cross it out of bounds. Oh, you're there. Good challenge, good tackle. But then you pass it right back to him. It's just there's too many negatives in his game, and especially because he's slower than most of the other players out there. I don't want to say slower with speed because when he gets up to speed, he's pretty fast. But as far as like his quickness, you want somebody to turn it on, accelerate really fast. He's not that player. He's just so slow to get up to speed. Defenders are beating him out, and while he tries to body him off with strength, they're just as strong. So they're holding up under his challenge. They're holding the ball up under his challenge, and it just never works out for him. So I don't know. I hate it for him because I know he's a rookie, and I know a lot of people have been trying to build him up and trying to just, yes, WrestleMania, let's go. It's he gets assists, he gets goals, but they've dried up recently because teams have figured it out. As long as you just put one person over there and make sure he doesn't have a ton of room on the right side, he gets shut down very easily. So I just think we need a better option there. Whether it's hopefully if Martinez is coming back soon, we can put him back there and move Tito back out to the right. But for now, I'd say try to get somebody else in there. Whether it's putting Kevin in and moving, switching Yamil and Miguel around, or if it's putting Brandon in up top and pushing Tito out to the right. I don't know what it's going to take, but we need to make some changes because it's not working out. He's really not working out for us, unfortunately. Then the last one to talk about is, of course, Tito for the starting lineup. And like I said, just kind of a poor showing from him. It didn't feel like he was on the same page as everybody else. What he was trying to do on the field, the one-on-one challenges he was creating, the flicks, the trying to win the ball, it just wasn't working out for him tonight. Everything he tried just seemed to not work out. He did create one or two chances every now and then, but for the most part, it just wasn't coming off for him, and you could see the frustration. So when he finally gets the goal, it's kind of like, despite all of that, despite the frustration, despite things not working for him tonight, to get the goal is almost like a confidence booster. Like, okay, things didn't work out most of the night, but you still get the equalizing goal. That's good. I'm glad. So that's about it for the starting lineup. As far as the subs go, pretty good subs for the most part. Brandon came on for Julian, which is pretty much what I wanted. The only problem with that, though, is that instead of moving Tito out to the right, Brandon ended up on the right. And I just do not see him as a right mid. He's tall. He seems like a good forward. He makes runs like a forward. But when you put him out on the right wing, he's always looking to cut inside, which then it should open up space for our right back. But because we've got Anton over there, who's more of a center back than he is a right back, you're opening up space for a makeshift right back. It doesn't work out very well. So he doesn't open up the space well enough. He's not mentally thinking, hey, I need to get out wide, because he wants to get in. He wants to get into the box. So I just think if we're going to put Brandon out there for Julian, I think it needs to be a change of shape. I think at that point you go to a 4-4-2, where now you've got Miguel and Yamil on the wings, and now you've got Tito and Brandon up top together as two forwards. But as it stood, it was pretty much the same shape. Just he was out right, Tito was up top, and it just, for the most part, it didn't work out. There are a couple. We were still dominating the game, but mainly because Orlando were just sitting in, trying not to give away a goal. But we just were not able to create much in the second half, despite our dominance, because it just felt like things weren't working out with players in the positions that they were. Then the next two to come on were Mikey Ambrose came on for Greg because he got slid into on one of his chances to score. I'm not going to complain too much about the referees because I know they're bad, and as much as I want to, I just got to realize can't do anything to help it. But yeah, he did have a chance. As he's hitting the shot, the guy slides in right after and catches his foot. Looked like it may have twisted a little bit or, just bruised, I don't know. but he ended up coming out. Mikey came in, looked pretty good. Still looks promising for a young player. So I want to see a bit more of him. He really does put in a very good effort in the back. So it's good to see from such a young player that he's willing to go out there and just put himself around, really fight hard to win the ball. So hopefully you can see a bit more from him. And then Kevin Kratz came on for Michael, which wasn't really sure about. It ended up pushing Jeff into the back, and then Kevin and Carlos were in the center mid together. I guess because he's a bit more attacking minded, and Jeff pretty much does play as a center back for the most part. So you move him back with Leandro, and then Carlos sits a little bit more as Kevin pushes forward to help out in the attack. It did give us a bit more attack power going forward. He provides what he lacks in skill and technique and all of that. He provides so much more in his hard work on the ball. He gets under a challenge, it doesn't matter. He's fighting to keep hold of the ball. His passing is just very simple, but I like simple passing. I don't like all the fancy flicks and tricks and all of that stuff. So he keeps it very simple. He works hard to keep the ball, and he's always looking to press forward. Press forward. So I really like it whenever he comes in. I think he's probably our best sub off the bench. And even possibly trying to, like I said, move Gressel out of the team. He's one of my first ones I think about, putting him on, just because he provides so much for us in his effort alone. So that's about it for the game overall, though. 1-1 draw is not the best thing in the world, but based on how it went, getting a late equalizer, it almost feels like a win, because at that point, yes, you're not getting the win, yes, you're not getting the 3 points, but you're saving a point. You're saving 1 point, get something out of the game, not letting them take 3 points home with them. So that's always good to see. Those are my opinions overall. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on this game? Who's your man of the match? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Atlanta United reviews. I'll see you guys in the next game.